Hey everybody, it's Amon here. Welcome to Nerdkids My Top 10s. As you see in this video, it's going to be me talking about my top 10 movies of all time. Like every saying, my top 10, depending on the saying, since this is a case of my opinion, my subjective. See, I ain't trying to be running some objective case that kind of puts them over the other. For all of them, in my opinion, not as in the Proud Bear sense, in the same sense of life, for instance, my top 10 rappers of all time. I'm still praising people have made whatever, did this, did that, and every sense, but it's not gonna be as, how should I say this, press slash produced in the sense is like my points and toggle of movies and this that comes with all these other things, or even like honorable mentions, like in the case I discussed a different point. I just want to make that clear before I get to anything else. I love you all. I hope you guys will enjoy everything that comes within this. I'm gonna see you guys in it. Let's go and get into it.
Tight jeans got your ass looking fat like ooh. Sure you wanted all the juice. Don't look at me, I ain't buying shit for you. Let's go. I'm a little off the juice. Really rocking with the world, yeah I'm getting loose. Niggas sick about these girls, oh they got the flu. They be looking from a distance like they in the zoo. All these girls around me, you know I'ma shoot my shot.
So it comes into the first case of the movie, aka number 10 in this case, is going to be Friday, aka Ice Cube's producing movie. And again, I don't want to be big pushing slash in the case of the precaution of things with these things, but I just want to say, even when the case of not being full objective in a sense, I think we could all probably agree Friday is one of the top 10 most funniest scenes of movies, not for predicate in the case of man for it being a bias or whatever sense thing, but this is one of the most popping different scenes in movies. Got a good case of lesson, got good purpose, got good bravado. It's funny, it has all the peak scenes and memes, and all around I think it's just ridiculously funny. I feel like Ice Cube's a banger actor at his hardcore, and it's just a banger movie to me. I love the fuckery in it, I love the dumb shit, I love all the stand-up form of being dumbassery coming into it, and I was like I was locked in the same sense of the funny dumb shit in it, you know. Next, we have number 9, Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo. One of my favorite childhood form movies. Teen Titans is the greatest show of Cartoon Network to ever exist, and probably of all time, in my opinion. Peak show, peak standing of all the instances of a show all around. It was too roundabout with character development, 2W in the case of man for delivery, and just a dope ass case of show all around. If we got a season 6, it would be banger, but unfortunately got 5 seasons and they all had a standpoint of all of them being banger and the purpose that they lit. And all around, I think, an all around sense of things coming together with it, it was just a banger final showcasing of the Titans. And I feel like even though all seasons were supposed to represent Teen Titans in some way, with all the seasons holding representation of what all the Titans had to deal with, from season 1 with Robin, from season 2 with Cyborg, from season 3 being a mix of Raven, a mix of kinda so Cyborg is coming. It's been a minute, even though I have the entire series all on DVD. This is a mixed run of stuff because of the entire case of what the entire show was about, and line up with all these other things that come with it is just all around banger in my opinion, because all the stuff that aligns with it was banger all around, and I mess with it because of just how banger of face of a creation that it was. Because every form of what it was, and on the screen, in case you guys can't tell, that's my cousin playing with me. His name is Jordan. Shout out to you, little cousin. Love you, homo. And with this being said, in the same sense of the case of the bangerness that comes full flaves with it, that makes sense a little bit. Cause I'm having a fucking tongue stroke or fucking saying in the same sense. Like, not to edit this out, because it still was a point in mind for what I was saying. It's just that in the full flames of it. Flames of it. Sounds weird when I say it. Full flame of it. It was just banger in general. It was just cool to have, see when I was little, and even having it now online mixed with my DVD collection of Teen Titans. I feel like Trouble in Tokyo was cool. I ain't gonna lie, I had a crush with Cat Girl, aka the Vine Cat, trying to go ahead and snag Beast Boy's body apart. I messed with it, and all of it was just dope. In a full case curation, I just messed with it, and I liked how everything was locked in and double time banger in its own right. I just like the movie. I think it's dope. If you want to get into Teen Titans, and like I said, to recap, besides case of interruption or whatever the case, it was just dope to see a final case of collection of emotion and technical strong suit love from the characters after from season 5 whereas Beast Boy end of the series with Terra potentially or just him imagining Terra in his mind, and now losing someone they love and then having a great collective love aligned together within his friends and other people, and the fact that at the end of the day Teen Titans is about teens doing grown up shit, being bigger people, doing great things, even the same sense of them being young and not knowing how to do this or do that in the same sense, you know. So pretty much it's just like a mix-up case of things that are dope about it, because simply put, it's just a bunch of shit together that you wouldn't understand on a general basis, because simply it's just a lot coming together in it, you know. There's a lot that you wouldn't reckon in a general sense to know, but at the same time, now getting fully into it, you would know, you know, like it's just a bunch of stuff going on that alludes to different type of things, you know. So I like how the movie tested that. I like how they represented that. I like the fact that they represented a version of the Teen Titans that's still what it is by heart, but was banging at the same time, you know. But besides case of Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo, time for number 8, King Kong 2005. King Kong 2005 is definitely the best version of King Kong. I feel like it represents him the best way. I've already talked about my love for him in the case of my composite King Kong video, shameless plug in the same sense. But within my love for King Kong 2005 wasn't just because of nostalgia, even though that's a big thing, but I think also just all the emotions crammed set in it. It's a 3-hour long dope case of a movie that contributes all the sense into the fan love and craze and greatness of who someone like King Kong 2005 was, and is a great story about a beast falling in love for a reasonable record of time, even if it is a false sense of that, because King Kong was always a style like that, but it was a lot more than just, oh, he is a beast and falls in love with a girl. It's about him also falling in love with where she came at the same time in the movie. Like, he rampaging through New York, he's doing out of pocket shit, man is going out here being a whole ass menace to society, because King Kong was real, he would be an eighth world disaster as well. Like, my man is bringing out full carnage just for the love sake of a girl. But there's also great love and foundation coming together here with the character. And I just love all that. I think King Kong represents himself proudly as a king. Motherfucker didn't take shit from no monster on Skull Island. He was the king. He was the beast. He was everything that you would want to have in the form of who King Kong is. And I just think everything that makes him who he is was represented so solid and banger. And all around was just a beast, you know. I just love King Kong. Like, I can't really explain it, but King Kong has always been a character that I've loved and had all the sense to likeness for, and I would never trade up, because there's something so unique about him within the sense of his beastness, his primal beastness, his begging for a form of attention from the girl that's cute, obviously simpish, but has some actual love take from it, and is not just, oh, I'm this big ass gorilla that you feel bad for because of this and this. And I like also that they represented an actual case of gorilla, like made him have some say realistic feel, him being 25 feet tall, being big in comparison to us, but at the same time being small in the grand scheme of things, like how a gorilla can actually be in their sense to a person, and being a crouched up form of a gorilla, and when he would stand up he would actually be a towering beast. He would be a titan in the same level of us in comparison, and he would be just doing great a shit. Motherfucker would roar, and you could feel the roar for the theater. I would pay so much money to go in the past, because I was born in 2006. This movie came out a year before I was born, right? This came out back in the time where me was probably being cassetted in the same sense of my mom and my dad's love together, you know what I'm saying? They was a couple and they saw this movie back when it released in that time, and everything about it was just dummy banger, you know what I'm saying? From the fights, from the world, from the setup. Now, arguably, the only case of problems that you could say coming to say of this movie was the fact that it's elongation to technically get to it, because technically arguably might not care for the human character. But the thing is, with the human character, especially with Jack Black is a GOAT, okay? I can't wait for Kung Fu Panda 4. He was defined in his role as Bowser, bro. Peak actor, bro. I'm telling you, Jack Black is a king. All right, Jack Black can say the N-word if he wanted to. I'm playing around, that's a little bit much, but on the real, it's like Jack Black is so much of a beast with how he represents his scenes to characters, and it's so solid, it's so great, so banger in the say delivery that I just love everything about this character that he plays, and how my man got a little bit philosophical at the end of the movie, like shit, when he saw a beast that he brought to New York wreak havoc and change the whole way he saw things. He saw a great delivery of love and beauty in the end of it, even in the form of the beauty that he brought to the beast would be the subsequent end of it. Because he switched up on everybody around him. He technically disregarded everybody else that came with him, because a bunch of people died on the mission slash the excavation to go ahead and get to the island. But he didn't care. It was all about the money. It was all about the film. It was about him grossing something. He sacrificed so much to get to something. He became what was the rot to take of him. Like, you saw from the beginning that technically all the people that was rocking with him were bad people and did not care. They disregarded his entire being. They did not give two fucks about him. But then when he is put in the spotlight, everything is switched up, because simply put, he became something that he always would hate. He would become something that would be out of pocket for the sake of his matter of, you know, obviously trying to do something and do something better for himself. He just pulled up to an island, became a rock star in a matter of a night, and switched up heavily, and did not care for how much of that switch up would in the end hurt people. Like, he invited a whole beast to America with no care at all. And when everything was all said and done, he was the one who ran. He was the one that disregarded everybody else. At the end of the day, he was a coward. But I like how his storytelling defined that. I think Peter Jackson representing King Kong in this way was so great. The creative mind, the soundtrack. Oh my God, that soundtrack is so peak, bro. Look, this movie is banger. If you have not seen it, which actually I want to tell a funny story again, not to the start, not try to go off from the sense of what it is. I want to be elongated talking, because I could make a whole video expressing my proud love and purpose for why I did what I did within the case of the composite King Kong video. Even though it was about the case of Kong's power scaling and composite, obviously, if you know what that means, my characters and shit, and multi-rec and of different scaling, with that being said. But in delivery, in the take of all that, it was all about the talk of the character and stuff as well, mixed with it. And so if you wanted me to go ahead and make a full in-depth dive on King Kong as a character, talk about him in since 2005 and all our place of things, besides its overall rack of multi-case of power scaling and all the reckon of what makes King Kong who he is, and rack of his purpose and the stasis of what he stands as a standing ovation of what a true kaiju great storytelling is, then I could. But I just want to say at this one point, I was late up at night, I was not going to sleep, I was watching King Kong, getting my feels, being so twilighted, so dummy put into a different mindset because of how much defining and profound action and showcasing King Kong 2005 was like. And I even have it bought. Like, I'm telling you, all these movies that I'm going to be talking about, I have them in my stock of different movies. I have them on DVD or in my library somewhere. I got them all lined up. So with this being said, when I was over here trying to go ahead and showcase my love for the movie, I texted in a group chat that I know it's late. It was at like, I don't know, 1 or 2 a.m. And I said, if you have not seen King Kong 2005, go peek. And then this random guy, I don't even know who he is, was saying that this nigga's over here texting about King Kong late at night. I'm like, yeah, I know, but you gotta go see his peak movie. You have to go and get cultured. And then he was like, yeah, but nigga, you were still weird for placing this at this point. And I was like, okay, like, even though it's not like a conflictive thing, it's just more like I mess with the movie so hard. I had to promote it. I had to preach the proud stand of what makes this movie what it is, banger. So besides all the sense of the weird coming together in it, I just love it so much. Cause simply put, this is a banger sense of a movie all around. I hope you guys will enjoy these movies I've talked about, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour us on to the next one. In the case of number 7. Planet Hulk. Now, Planet Hulk is a Marvel animation movie back when they put out animation movies. Now, even though it is a old technical movie, it still has bangers. So I feel like it accompanies Hulk to the best sense. I feel like it represents him the most strong suit, as obviously in past times Hulk has not been represented as solemn as we want him to. Now, I don't necessarily think, in the case for the MCU, Hulk is entirely formal, even though I feel like he was downgraded to a deformed sense of his character, in the same sense of Avengers Endgame. Because even though I don't necessarily think that Smart Hulk, aka Professor Hulk, is bad, I just think when you deform what the essence of who he is as a character is, it basically just contributes to making him a character that can never be having likeness, because he's just not Hulk. You tore what made Hulk who he is away. He just was not a character of true specialty. He was not a character of true echoing of fear and beastfulness in the arena. But in this instance, this Hulk actually did. He was a Hulk of a great deal of power and access. That man was a beast. That man towered over people. In this, it represents a version of Hulk that is very dope to me, because purely on the sense of basis for who he is as a person and his character, he's a person that does shit ridiculously out of pocket and beastful, like for the sake of himself and to be in good health. You know, he isn't just Hulk smashing shit. He's a Hulk smashing to be alive, to stay himself. Because this movie represents a story that's my favorite story about Hulk. It is a underrated case story that I feel like obviously does have love, but doesn't get enough love and showcase, because I wish people would showcase more about this. And the story of Planet Hulk is pretty much Hulk being a gladiator. Instantly take my fucking money. It sounds banger. It sounds like a dope story, and I would love to see something like that shown in live action. We got a little glimpse, a little percentage of it for Thor Ragnarok. It didn't get a company in there in the type of way, obviously, as a pure Hulk fan. And for y'all who don't know, I don't know if it's been hinted at, I don't know if it's been insinuated for some of y'all, but Hulk is my favorite Marvel character. I love him to death, and I would love for him to be showcased in the better sense of light and the fun. For the most part in MCU, he is shine good, but isn't solemnly good showcase in every sense, because he's put off from his gang of being actually represented solemnly, because his character is so mixed within the case of production, and at the same time he can't have a solo movie because of the rights that Universal has of him. He could be shown in anything, but he can have his own thing. So I was talking about the fact that Cleon is over here crooking motherfuckers' necks like Quan Chi Mortal Kombat and niggas, alright? Man, take a nigga's soul like that. Pause. But at the same time, with the movie actually being the case, I'm suddenly playing with my cousin Jordan once again. Love you, bro. In this instance, he is over here proud, beasting and fighting like a gladiator. They really showcase State of the Gladiator life. It seemed like Hulk was living like Spartacus, bro. I'm telling you, like, my man was out here going for the definition of tragedy turned triumph, like it's David and Goliath. You know what I'm saying? Like, my man was going through it, and I feel like it's a good story, because when it represents Hulk's pure case of being, it represents who he is as a person. And I think in all full reckon of who he is as a person is simply a guy who goes through a lot of tough things and has to go and try to get around it with his inner case connection to someone like Who's Banner, who in his own right goes through a lot of scenes and stuff, but is still a person, and at the same time makes Hulk still a person, you know? And so they have an equal form of duet. Hulk is mainly shown here, not the same sense as with Planet Hulk, because Hulk is the main person you're here for, especially when it comes up to a Hulk story. But they have an interchain connect of who they are. It's never showcased that Hulk in this movie, because I've read the comic, I know about this stuff, I'm a big nerd, is being who he is for the case of Pete. Since, in this sense, it's more of a, oh, I just need to do what I gotta do to survive because I'm him, like shit, which is still the same sense of the case, but again, it isn't like just being him for a Pete's sake. It's more like, oh, I'm going to be Hulk and do the best to strive to do what is needed because I know that Bruce Banner, Puny Banner, needs to go ahead and depend on me. Because if Hulk is injured, Hulk dies, or even someone like Bruce died, that takes away both of their inner stability to go ahead and survive. And so they simply just want to stay alive and do the best they can because they need each other. They need to survive. They need to be a equal case of footing on what they do, because if they don't, they will die. It's also the pure thing that this makes them both cool characters. Bruce Banner and Hulk are the same person, arguably, and they both have a purpose in living that should be shined throughout, you know? They should not be separate. And even though, again, it's still mainly showing Hulk, I like how they still reckon what makes someone like Bruce Banner mean stuff to someone like Hulk. And so when Hulk is shown, which again is great because it shows his full power, shows how empowered someone like Hulk is for his rage, determination, and riots and fury. How you can see this man going full Mike Tyson on motherfuckers, being a beast. And even though the shooting of it is not brutacious and out of pocket, I like that even with a lot of it being robots and being creatures that, for the case of it being PG-13, could be easily hurt as long as it's not red blood, even though in Transformers 3 is one of the most violent cases of a kids movie ever, because it's robots and niggas really will not care. But besides it being a PG-13 movie, it still showcases the great violent and gore stance into mind that reps the character and the feel of the character in full, because it's all around a banger stance movie, because all the showcasing of it stands as a representation for what makes Hulk who he is. A demolition of a man that be on beast mode and be popping off with shit. That man can do shit like no other and is inanimate in his own right, you know? So I mess with everything that makes character who he is, because he purely be booming different, you know what I'm saying? I like him. I mess with Hulk. I mess with the movie all around. I mess with the characters. I like the representation. I like some of the changes, and it still fits. Like, for instance, Silver Surfer is in the Planet Hulk comics, but instead of being in this movie, he's changed to be Better Ray Bill, aka the friend slash technical sense sidekick that would be to Thor. Also, Thor is shown within this movie and ties together within Korg's case of origin, how he became who he is. And I like that tie-in. I like the him and Kira, some characters are not full pulls together in it. I like their initiation, they were saying some things. I like how they insinuate the Illuminati of only showing Iron Man a little glimpse of someone like Black Bolt, Mr. Fantastic, and Doctor Strange, and no one else. I just love all that shit. All dope scenes showcasing. Time to go ahead and get to the sixth one. But again, dope scenes since a movie with everything lined together with it. Also, hope you like Kiss of Wrecking my Shaolin. Rocking with the Goku state tight drip with the red and on slide pants movement slip thing. You know what I'm saying? You about to go see that full kinetic C with that Bruce Lee full showing. I messed up. But aside that, my character is still banger in his own right. Don't think just because I changed the kids of color field, my character don't be doing something right. This isn't mine changing this purpose in mind. This is a mind. This is like a new slip suck drip. You know what I'm saying? But besides that, actually to go and get onto the sixth movie, we have the Mortal Kombat movie of 1995. The 2021 Deadly Fool is ass. There's some fun parts of some bussin' in this, but really isn't too bussin' to put past the fact that critically the story and representation of it is rotted wrench of doodoo. Alright, it fucking sucks. It's bad. The Mortal Kombat 1995 movie, in my opinion, is the greatest video game movie of all time, hands down. There's other movies, like in a sense, for the Sonic movies, the Mario movie, shit like that, that makes it better. But considerably, when it comes down to a movie representing and changing the game for a game in the same sense, I feel like it solidifies what a gaming movie should be. It's accurate in tone, even if it's PG-13. It doesn't show violence and gore, but I feel like it still delivers the purpose of what Mortal Kombat is, especially with the Mortal Kombat music, even in the take of it being not a super brutal, saying it's a movie, and still showcasing something that any person, even if you're not a Mortal Kombat fan, could get in touch to because of just the gravity and love that the movie brings. It's just a banger all around case of a movie, and I just love everything about it because it's simply a banger movie tied together with Mortal Kombat and makes it a lot more interesting the more and more you go on and peek at it, because it's simply a movie that could put you into the loop of anything, no matter the same instance. Like, it's just a banger all around case instance of a movie, and I mess with it so much because of that. I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan. Y'all see that in our scenes of videos. Y'all know I love Mortal Kombat. I mess with it. There's some things that could be a little bit changed. Like, arguably, if it actually had the gore and relentless day of bloodlust feel, as some cases of the characters have, it would be good. But the character development is good. The trio in the sense for Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade is dope. Shout out to all the actors. Shout out to the actor of Shang Tsung. I forgot to say his name, but he will always be peak actor. That iconic saying from Shang Tsung, "Your soul will be mine," is one of the most peak busting case of line deliveries. He defines Shang Tsung. Every time I think of Shang Tsung, I think of him. He was in Mortal Kombat 11. He should have been Mortal Kombat 9. He was in Mortal Kombat Legacy. He defines Shang Tsung to a fucking T. It don't matter if the nigga bald, it don't matter who he is. Shang Tsung is Shang Tsung, and I love him. I love his voice. I love his feel. I love his kineticsy. I love Shang Tsung versus Liu Kang. I love how he's able to morph split between different people, like how they represented that. I like every character, even some characters could have been shown different. I like the theatrical showcasing representation of Goro being like a form animatronic bug form being, for the sense for how he moved, how he did things, how he went about things in a fighting sense. I really like how they represented him because he was just cool. He was an anime in his own right, you know, because of him being animatronic. He didn't hold as much in the sense of the movement, but it's just he simply was cool and inanimate and theatrical and a lot of senses for his setup. I really like all the case of character play for other characters. I like how Liu Kang was built up. I like his feel. I also love the actor for Raiden. He will always be, in my opinion, a definition of who Raiden could be: a high-end, a wise master, a mentor that can dedicate his entire mortal life to a person and rep them to the T of being fighters. And even though he cannot fight, he still solidifies a great teacher and a true god, like in an instance of mine, even though he cannot fight and unleash his ridiculous god powers. Because if Raiden actually tried unleashing his god sense of powers, he would smoke a lot of motherfuckers. And this is shown when he easily dispersed someone like Shang Tsung's form of goons, in the same sense when they show Sub-Zero mixed with Scorpion. And the first form of Sub-Zero in this is obviously by Han, realistically. I like how he showcased. I like his fight with Liu Kang, and I like also that showcasing that guy that got a whole ass red hood form of hijab on his head. I don't even know what this is, man. Look like a member of the Taliban. I'm not even trying to say that to be racist, and I don't even know what you call that. One of the fucking Shang Tsung Island Warriors, when Baihan, aka Sub-Zero, is about to go and puff out the most Frozone from the Incredible Senses of Blast. I love that. I love that showcase. It makes with fucking meat chunks in the senses. My man said, "I want the bloody lamb sauce," like shit, and he just pops off with it. And again, I love how Raiden easily just bolts, you know, of them in the same sense with and Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I don't know if I said that right. It's just both. Vote. So how you just votes. I don't know if it said vote. I don't know. Kind of sound weird in the form of me saying. Now I don't want to go have an interruption in the same sense of saying, but if I had to say like in the same sense for tone and sense of it, it's simply him helping with a big jolt of electricity. It was just bolt. What the fuck I was saying, he blasts his Scorpion away, beams away Sub-Zero, and then at the same time within it, you just see Sub-Zero, I think Scorpion, over here Harlem shaking, and he pops in, he's like, enough! And he's ha ha ha. Like, he seems like a very sassy attitude, sense of God, that even though he can be wise and he's a master, he has a little sly tongue, you know what I'm saying? He got his Shifu ways, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really like what he do. I like his character, I like his feel, I like the performance, I like everything that brings him together as a character, and all of that was just cool to me because the overarching purpose in mind of who it's supposed to be representing was supposed to be representing Raiden, which I feel like until this point was never showcased in a way that aligns with a god that echoes that type of feel. I feel like Raiden puts forth that type of vibe and delivers that on a regular, but he never really solidifies and accompanies the god that masters these type of ways to become this and this of greater means. He seemed like just a guy that was there that had great mastery of elemental power and was a god, a mentor, but he didn't have a strong connection. He made Johnny Cage for something else. He brought Sonya a better calling than just having to go after a person that wronged her, even though Kano, which I'm going to talk about him, which I think also the actor who played Kano is dope, and he was just over here playing like Australian, but I think for the rest of his acting career, he played off like he was Australian when originally he was from Canada, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't fucking know, but with Kano, just talk about him for a second, I wish he would have been in the movie longer, because I like him, me personally, but his fight scene with Sonya was cool, and which crippled his neck with that iconic finishing move. He is cool because then that represented who Kano was going to be forever. They changed him for originally being a guy who's accounted to be Japanese, and then a different place projected to be like Russian in the state of his build, to now exactly looking like this version of Kano in the movie, being an Australian dude and being the Captain Boomerang of Mortal Kombat. And I don't just say that because technically Kano is fucking fodder because he's ass, but also just his place of personality, his feel. Like, he really reps a Australian mercenary, and I really like that because, like, that's him. Like, that's literally just who he is. And so, with all the representation of this movie inside the games, to change, the reform, the new take of stuff, it changed the game for Mortal Kombat. And so I think if you're going to have a good video game movie, it has to be so good it changed the way the community, the fan base, and everything else about it sings to its thing. It got to represent stuff from the games. It got to sing the motion. It got to sing the form. It got to full shine what makes what the movies and all correspondence of things about it pours together, and I feel like it captured that element, and that's why I like it so much. I think it's banger in every type of way just because of that one thing, and that's why I love movie number 6, Mortal Kombat movie 1995. And all around, I think if you are a fan of fighting games, I feel like you go see it's the best fighting game for a movie, because the Tekken movie disgraced Tekken arguably, ain't even interesting, and again, in my opinion, is the greatest form of Mortal Kombat showcasing for something. It's dope. I feel like it solidifies the case of the Mortal Kombat tournament to a T in general. I like everything coupled together in it. I like the feel of it. I like Johnny Cage's fight with Scorpion, and all around, it's arguable fucking perfection. It really ain't no big problem with it. The only thing could have been a sense of actual bigger brutal shit, but all the fights, the showcasing the music, the tie-in, the 90s state of feel is why, again, number 6, Mortal Kombat Moon 1995. I love it. Mortal Kombat! Ding, ding, ding. I'm gonna stop. Bro. Number 5, we have Avengers Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War, in my opinion, is the best movie of the MCU, in my opinion. It is greater than Endgame. No theater has ever echoed nothing but silence for the entirety. The dawn of people's depression from seeing Spider-Man saying, I don't feel so good, and him tingling his head that he was going to die, and seeing everybody that they care about in the movies before this die subsequently. I love seeing this movie so bad, like on some constant not picture show shit, some proud fanboy shit. I saw Avengers Infinity War 3 times, like in the former Cosmonaut. I love seeing the atmosphere. I love seeing a bunch of people get hyped when Thanos is really boxing. I love seeing a bunch of people cheer when they see Captain America again. I love seeing the little kids cry when Tom Holland, aka Spider-Man, dies. I obviously don't want that, but I like that this movie reached a lot of fans' souls and a lot of hype. Even with a movie having the most dark, crazy, apocalyptic sense of consequences, you still got people making jokes and coming all together. A movie like this should never exist. The Avengers became a household name. It became something beyond the general figure of what a general movie would be because of the state of the time, the feel, all of the factors that come into play with why this movie would technically not do good in different instances did not become what it was because simply the movie had a great deal of hype and build up. Thanos was an epic villain. I like that they changed his motives and mindset so he could fit the sense of this movie. I don't think he was bad in any sense. I think his overarching point and take for doing stuff was cool. I think how he went about things was dope because simply put, he was just a cool character that did things in a very cool and animate way because simply put, he was that guy. His motives in the comics that I talked about a little bit myself when involving the sense of script in this, which is not full scripted, so y'all can obviously tell this all come from the heart and the general sense to take, but it's strong suit in the form of points. I'm glad I've been able to articulate and talk with all the things being said because I've been talking for a big long while, 35 minutes, 14 seconds now within the Saints, and we're on number 5. What is being said, a lot of love and talk coming together within this, but in the sense of why this movie does so good, like I said, is the change of Thanos' purpose of doing stuff, the change of his origin technically. Thanos does what he does in these movies not because of him being in love with death like in the comics. He did everything he did to get the power to rain new means for planets around him because doing what he did would mean greater order means for people. It would be something that everybody in their own right have potential to be able to echo and bring on because simply he as a character wanted to go ahead and bring new means for the world in itself because in the world there needs to be order and he wants to make things evenly balanced. And so when he would snap his fingers having all 6 stones from the space stone, reality stone, time stone, space stone, power stone, and reality stone, he would, well, hold on, let's make sure there's no soul stone, because I said that shit again. Okay, my bad. I was thinking of it wrong, because the soul stone always pop out of my mind, because nigga barely use it, alright? It traps people within the souls, but it's mainly like a case of contraption device, if he ever would split that out randomly. But again, recap, space stone, reality stone, power stone, mind stone, power stone, and time stone. That being said, if I'm saying it all right within the case stuff, and you obviously have those powers coming all damn near into play within this movie, and they all have a showcasing. They all have been shown in different case. He was first shown in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, which is the best movie of Phase 2, and all this dummy banger sense and shit co-responded together in the lineup of everything. And I just love everything about that. Like, it's just a banger, fantastic run of a movie that it was built for all type of form of people who love the MCU, people wanting to see a good, fantastic superhero movie and everything. This movie changed the fucking game. The movie had a villain win for the first time in a superhero movie. The only other superhero movie that technically counts where a villain technically wins is technically not even a full villain. It's more like an anti-villain. That movie would be Watchmen, if that counts, and if not, the only other movie I could think of that would count in that sense technically would even be superhero and is more of an anime sense, which can still technically count in a different take evolving superhero sense, but it wasn't in the same sense as mine. It was simply just cases where the protagonist did not really get a win out of things. This is the only movie besides Watchmen that technically comes into play of an actual superhero losing in the end, losing in the actual fight. And that's what I like. Not every time does a superhero win. And obviously I would love to see my heroes win. I would love to see them prevail. And on a different sense, they probably would. I mean, Thor was so confident he was gonna do it. I mean, considerably, arguably, almost fucking does. Like, his whole fucking hammer axe comes through and almost splinter checks this man right then and there. He throws Stormbreaker like a fucking raider, man, and almost splinters through Thanos. On a different occasion, he would probably fucking mink that man and it would be Dungy for him. He would be able to do nothing with the full power universal case clash of the Infinity Stones. He had all 6 stones and they didn't do shit. Alright? They did not reckon anything. I want to say a level to actually face him. The Infinity Gauntlet was full powered, and if it wasn't for the snap slash this man not going for the head and looking like Shaq, he would have possibly said GG's and it would have been over. Like, he would have gotten the dub on multiple occasion. Like, he would have done more than whatever could be seen at that point. Like, he would just be doing shit on a whole different case of level, you know? Like, my man had it all. He had all of it in the stasis of mind. He had all of it put together. He was doing all these insane things to don't get the job done and do that and do that. And simply put, he got the dub because he was that nigga. He played the Avengers. They couldn't do nothing to him, and he was just the guy to get it done because he is the Mad Titan. He had a psychopathic mindset that wasn't just craving for death and pushing for death. It was because of the balance of the world needing to have store of point in the case of his people, like they were a case for everybody else where they were dying or just clearly need to have a better storing of order because of the large amount of population. Some people need to go ahead and be dispersed for bigger pools of greatness to happen. Like with any other villain, has a kind of psychopathic societal state of like people mindset where it's like, oh, only those who fall will be forgotten, but those who rise up from the ashes will be stronger. Conflict and war is the crucible to which we evolve. You must be wolves among the sheep. There must be conquerors over the conquered. They don't just have these mindsets because they're evil to be evil. They are birthed into the arguable status of evil because of seeing the change that it can bring into play. Thanos had this genocidal mindset with his people, and he only had that in play because simply his people were dying, and he saw the potential that could grow from having them be, killed and not actually living. Because when he would do that, it would spell the end all around for his people, because the population grew to a large mass. The planet was so great, but it needed to be restored with a better form of being, because simply they were going to reach new heights if they kept playing possum in the state of evolution. So he needed to do that. And that's why I like it. Like, I don't know if it's going to be true, but I would love to see Thanos have his own movie. I know Infinity War pretty much is, but like, if here he had his own movie where he could full represent himself as a person, so you get a better touch for him, you have better love, then I feel like it's good. And I'm going to probably say, we could debate on this. I think Thanos is such a groundbreaking villain. I think he's so much of a peak villain that he might overstep Joker in the state of his height as a being of movies. Like, I feel like he just does shit in a dummy different sense spectacle to where he is more prouder, more in a better sense of a villain than any villain of a superhero movie has shown to be. Even more than Joker. Like, he just got that type of place of mindset in him to do things like that. And I feel like that's what defines him as more of an interesting and introspective, intricated villain into the harder, bigger parts of things like that than anyone else. Because he actually won. He did better means. He did more than any other character. And I feel like there will never be a villain in movies to be the type of guy to pull something like that. And so that's why I think it's the best movie of the MCU of 2018, of every relican of what an actual superhero movie could be. Any instance of it, he defines full and pure what it means to be the symbol of fear and domination for any superhero, no matter the instance. And that's why I love him. Anyway, time to go on to my fourth, which will be Interchange of Infinity War. Both had growth of different things for me as a person, and a sense of love for movies and dopeness, and at the same time both shaped, I feel like, for the most part, the world line of how us as people think of different forms of cinema. And this would be number 4, which again, to reiterate, could be interchangeable in the same sense for Infinity War, is 12 Years a Slave. 12 Years a Slave is about Solomon North, a man taken out of freedom and put into slavery, put into the most rotted, ridiculous state of things. Taken from a nice place, like say like New York, and put into an arena of terror. He was taken from his home, and now he's a slave. 12 years a slave, disregarded of his life, torn from things that made him a free man, a black man going through struggle. This isn't a story about a black man being a slave. This is about a black man becoming a slave through people robbing him of his freedom. And I think the story, I think the movie, I think the cinematography, I think the soundtrack, I think everything aligned within it is banger, purely just on the base of what makes a movie like this a great showcasing of characters and stuff. Is showing the tragedy, the torment, the paralyzation of shit, and of course back into freedom. He spent the first movie having a good life, and then he went on to another part of America. He went to a whole different state, had a drunken accident happen with people putting something into his drink or having way too much to drink, could kind of signified by the form of the fact that in the movie the people that lined him up within the showcasing for to be punished just for him being black seemed like they put something in his drink and watched him solely while they drunk his, right? Because in the same sense of the movie, something else goes kind of sounds weird. Kind of talking about him, it kind of sounds weird because I own it as well. Like I said, well, always are kids movies. I own them on DVD, own them online, have them in playlists, have them in my library, have them in stock, up in my other stuff, up for a movie gallery like shit. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, these cases of kidnappers that planned out and acted like they were from some form of circus and did all these great entrepreneur saying shit, dudes, high popping baller people who probably just kidnapping motherfuckers and putting them in slave camperation like Stanson and stuff. The people who line them up for to be kidnapped by someone at the hotel bedroom, they are showcasing of people disregarding a man's freedom because of the fact that they need to make money. They make money off of basically trafficking somebody and made him get set off to the market and took him all the way from where he was from. Took him all the way from where he was and placed him in a place of nothing but disgraceful terror, shame of an environment. And so, when it came down to the same sense of someone like Solomon as a character, it was about a man going through the tortures, going from being a nigga on a plantation that try to push to be something else. Now, I really like that. It's a very dope story. I feel like it's the greatest form of a slave Black History case movie. If you want a movie to watch during Black History Month, then go and watch it. Just to go ahead and make this clear, viewer discretion is advised. There is disgusting stuff in this movie. There is nudity, heavy racism, heavy amount of deplorable case stuff, and all of it is obviously for a movie. All of it is a stance entertainment. All of it is a different form of showcasing of fiction. So please do not be a crybaby about it. Accept the fact that it is a movie. It is supposed to be a showcasing of art, and please let the talented people, the director, the producer, the art, and let the fact that this is a technical true story by a slave that wrote a book called 12 Years Later, giving off his story in a book about his triumph back from the slavery that he had to endure, is something you should take more in consideration. Just the fact of all that apocrypha shown to it, because you cannot get proceeding of what happened to grace freedom upon his back instead of a whip upon his back. Then you have no right to be talking about something in the same setting. History is sad. It is harmful to the mind and soul sometimes. And there's a lot of disgusting and degrading of humanity like shit that happens to people. But you cannot let the destructive and out of pocket saying stuff put down the lesson, because if you don't allow proper further teaching to represent the actual movie and the craft, then you take away all the purpose in mind of having a movie that educates. At that point, it's literally just a movie that doesn't represent the true form of what makes people how to go through that, who they are. It's literally just a movie that is baseline being a definition of, oh, we got something critically to show about slavery and discussing stuff, but let's not full porridge it in your face so it's an uncomfortable sense in showcasing. Let's just go ahead and give a little insinuation of it and not educate. In some cases, that's arguably what they do. I think this movie is a 10 out of 10. I think it's perfection in all reign. There's some instances of cuts and showcase that could have been better time, but AmonRa was solid and solidified the definition of torture to watch. It's like with I Spit on Your Grave, even though that's more critically a bigger point to say, and it's not one of the honorable mentions. I also made this example with this technical, arguable criticism that people try to bring to it, which I think is dumb, which is why I'm trying to inform and better further educate, which is the fact that in a movie like this, yes, some of the scenes, some of the sentences, the talk, some of the out-of-pocketness could be better formatted into something better. But I feel like the delivery and the showcasing of it defines the terror of what someone like a slave would have to go through. It showcases the unfortunateness, the fortunate racism, the fortunate discrimination, the fortunate state of subhumanness, some form of slaves had to be predicated upon, had to be placed on. It showcases what someone like Solomon, even though it's not a happy grade A ending, it's more just a sad, unfortunate form of something better in the vase of the torture. But it's not like he detracts or degrades the essence of what the movie's supposed to be, and it's not like it's just some dumb shit that happens or is not needed to portray and put forth the sad feel. I feel like I Spit on Your Grave, it can show the disgusting case of rape in that movie and showcase the terror and form of vile shit that people like that would do in the state of vengeance or educational stasis of story about rape in a fortunate case of casualties that might happen to a person in a bigger bargain when stuff like that happens. But in the end sense of it, it's supposed to represent a bigger, higher form story. So don't be mad that it showcases these things. Be mad that it doesn't represent the true horrors by trying to speak of horror and get you engulfed into the horror. You should be proud that it shows that, so there's awakened a new triumph. Because if there wasn't slavery, in the words of Lord Mitch Griffey, there'd be no strife for black people to do anything. No segregation, no racism means no black excellence. There is no victory without sacrifice. So don't come over here saying that bullshit. Don't try to get educated about slavery if you can't endure the tough, disgraceful, and undefinement of true power like shit that would come from inaccuracy. There's no true power without vile, unfortunate, stinging things in the heart sometimes. There has to be a stand for bigger strife and string of different things like that. Now for my final three that I want to go more tense on and talk about, and it's almost damn near an hour-long video about my top 10 movies of all time, which I'm glad I've been solid and strong suit on the same since everything. We have number 3, Kung Fu Panda 2, which is a banger movie. I think it's peak. I think it holds profound excellence in the same supposed character. Shin is, next to Tai Lung, the greatest villain in the case of the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, arguably. He's one of my favorite cases of villains in general. I like what he does and his toying with Po, his tie-in together, interline within the story, taking us together and brings Po to the fiery flame that he is of hope and yin and yang. Second movie is All Eyes on Me, aka the Tupac movie, that pursues to go ahead and showcase Pac in full glory. Some it's not super accurate, some it's not full all in touch with true showcasing of who he is, and it's kind of just a mixed case. But I think the actor who plays Tupac, which did a to the T, magnificent, salente, bussin' job, portrayed him and projected him in a full, proud, and profound state of way. I think he was solid in his role. I think all around the movie, the music and grainness of all this stuff was good. I like that it showed some cases of why some things that Tupac did not do was gooder in a better sense, and some stuff that he did do was bad in some sense, and still glorified the man, showed the glory for what he did, but still ingrain some touch of stuff that we should take as the viewer, the audience, that is not good for the cause of his death and the stasis of what he could have possibly proceeded bulls into some other stuff, right? So, with that being said, I like all the things that Rogan's what he is as a person. My final movie slash my favorite slash the GOAT slash the greatest, most peak movie of all time to me is Avatar 1. I could defend this. I will die and stand on this hill powerfully. I will strike you down with straight facts. I will devour you in a debate. I will clown you. Avatar 1 is the motherfucking GOAT. It is not Black Panther 1 or Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. It is not none of that. This movie relishes in everything I like. The world building, the characters, and touch. They got a baddie shorty like Nateri. They got my nigga Jake Sully, who is the GOAT! And most importantly, banger put together movie. There's a lot of nostalgia, there's a lot of love, but fucking 10 out of 10. The only problem you considerably stick out for this movie, even though I think it's a full fucking masterpiece, is the fact there wasn't a second sex scene. I'm playing, but no on the road. The only technical problem involving the movie, I think, is maybe some stick out too much of world building, but it's staying to the crop what the movie is. So besides that, I love you. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.